Hey everybody, I'm Dane Harden with Western Masters Martial Arts here in Abingdon, Virginia. Each week we try to impart a bit of a Zen story, a koan. And this story is about carrying baggage. There's a great story about when people give you coins, or about the priests who carry people across the river. But I want to kind of modernize this concept a little bit for you and tell you a story that's a fairly modern day story. There's a father, and he's going off to work, and of course he's got a really fancy car. When he walks out the door to go to work, he looks, and his 5-year-old son has put little Hot Wheels and matchboxes on top of the car, and he's got some mud on top of the car. And in one scenario, of course, the father gets very angry, yells at the son, and of course the son's mother hears all this commotion. She comes out of the house and she gets angry at the dad, and he's on his way to work. So he leaves, he goes off to work, he's angry about that. As he's driving, of course, he's driving kind of angry, and he gets pulled over by a police officer. So this day just isn't going well at all for him. He gets a ticket. Well, then he gets to work. So when he gets to work, he's angry because he yelled at his son, because his wife yelled at him, because a police officer gave him a ticket. And now while he's at work, he's got an attitude. Very angry, very angry, very angry, all day long, to the point that his boss pulls him aside and kind of gives him a verbal reprimand. So of course, that just feeds into all of that anger, and the guy is really, really irritated. And when he goes home, he just unloads on his wife, unloads on his child, and the whole thing is completely and utterly preventable. In martial arts, there's this concept of centered. Being centered with yourself, being centered in your life. How different would his day have been had, when he walked out and he saw what his son was doing, he said, "Son, please don't do that. Here, let me help you get your toys. I'll rinse that hood off. Don't worry, son, no problem at all. Let's go talk to your mom and let's get you some breakfast." Then he would have kissed his wife goodbye, gotten in his car, gone to work, not been speeding, not gotten a ticket, been happy at work, not had any issues with his boss. And how often does this modern story play out? Every day in our lives sometimes. When we're having a bad day, it tends to turn into a bad week, which can turn into a bad month, and it can turn into a bad year. So part of how we change the world as martial artists is to start by changing ourselves, by having a centered life, by having joy in our lives, by seeking what is positive, by having strong relationships, and most importantly, by being centered and forgiving. When people make mistakes, it's okay. Move on. Don't carry the baggage with you. When someone does something that maybe hurts your feelings, let it go. Always let it go. Return to your center, because often hate, when you keep it inside of you, is a worse poison for you than it is for anyone around you. And that's your Zen lesson for this week. Thanks so much. I'm Dane Harden with Western Masters Martial Arts here in Abingdon.